of strategic importance because it gave access to the coast. Now, perhaps let me just go back. Okay, so if you go on Google Maps just to see the outline of this place, if you go up that way, that's where the coast is. That's where you find those cities about Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and they are up there. Okay, so this area is of geostrategic importance because number one, it is fertile area. Okay, it is very arable. Now you would know that in the Middle East generally, because but this particular area is very fertile. Okay, this particular area is very fertile, and okay, so because of that, it was a place which was fraught with conflict. Many, nations that came from Apazans would try to go and dislodge the settlers or occupants of that area. Okay, so that is why when you read the Bible, you constantly hear about battles between the Israelites and the Philistines, and because these other nations wanted access to that area. Now, on this particular day, the Philistines decided to attack the Israelites. And for some reason, word got to the Israelites that the Philistines would attack. So the Israelites decided to come down from the mountains and camp by the edge, not to go to the valley instead, but just on the side of the mountain. Okay, they decided to come down and camp over there. And by the time the Philistines, were visible, the Israelites had set up camp on the side of the mountain, and the Philistines now, they could not go into the valley because they would make themselves vulnerable. Are we together? Now, there was now a deadlock. None or neither of the two was, comfortable with launching an attack phase. So there was a deadlock. Now, this issue of deadlock could be resolved by something called a single combat duel. In other words, each of the two groups would send a champion from themselves to go and fight the other champion. Now, whichever champion was defeated meant that the group from where the champion came from was also defeated. It's called single combat duel. Now, when we were growing up, perhaps there are some amongst you here who watch movies. You've seen movies where maybe a group of men get to a town and they get one person who is a good shooter. Okay, and he sends there, the residents of the town will also get their own shooter. And then they shoot each other. Whoever is shot, means, the shooter and the group has won. So it's called single combat duel. So it was very, very common, a common way of resolving disputes or a deadlock. The Philistines sent Goliath, their champion. And if you go to verse 4, 1 Samuel 17 verse 4, the Bible says a champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span, almost 3 meters tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels, 57 kg. That was his armor. Now, just think about it closely. All right? Many of us here, even the strongest amongst us, that are very strong, I'm sure if you were to give them 20 kg and say run with it, they won't be able to. Okay? Now, this guy is at war. If you are at war, you run, you jump, you duck, you lift, you have to maneuver, you have to be very agile. Now, this man, the Bible says, his apparel, weighed 57 kg. You can understand how strong this guy is. Okay? It says, on his legs he wore bronze grips and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod. It was 2.6 meters long, okay? And its iron point in yayo weighed 600 shekels, 6.8 kgs, just the head. Okay? Now, this is a person who is 3 meters tall. His apparel is 57 kg. His spear, 2.6 meters, and just the head, 6 kgs. He is a massive, massive, towering giant. The Bible tells us that he stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight me and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and you will serve us." Then the Philistine said, "This day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man, let us fight each other." And the Bible tells us that when the Israelites heard this, they were dismayed and terrified. Now, there were 3 types of soldiers in ancient warfare. And this is very important so that you understand the message and namhlanje. Alright? There were 3 types of soldiers in ancient warfare. The first type of soldiers was called cavalry. Now, cavalry were soldiers or warriors who fought mounted on horseback. Now, you've seen old movies of wars where you have soldiers who are on horseback. Those are called cavalry. The second type of soldiers were called heavy infantry. Heavy infantry were armed men who were trained to mount frontal assaults, who were trained to fight person to person. Okay? So these are the guys that would have a shield, alright? These are the guys that would have le armor, have a spear, because they are meant to fight on foot, person to person, have infantry. The first type is what? Cavalry. These were guys on horseback, or sometimes they'll fight on little chariots, okay, which were being drawn by a horse. The second type was heavy infantry. The third type of soldier was called artillery soldiers, okay. Now, artillery soldiers were archers that would have bows and arrows, and slingers that would, have a projectile, they call it. Okay? So they would be able to throw stones or balls of fire. Those were archers and slingers. Use bows and arrows and slingers. Now, when you look at this story, Goliath is heavy infantry. He is designed to fight person to person, one-on-one. Okay? So the Bible says, verse 5, he had a bronze helmet on his head, and he wore a coat and scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels, 57 kg. His spear and shaft was like a weaver's sword, which was 2.6 meters, and its iron head weighed 6.8 kgs. His clothing was optimized for close combat. Now, 3 separate weapons were designed for close combat. Okay, you had a javelin, the one that he had, and you had a sword. Okay, so with the javelin, you come and you be, sticking it into people, and then if whatever happened to the javelin happened, you'd have a sword. You'd have a sword, all right, and even his apparel. Okay, so I was going to show you again on a PowerPoint how it was designed. He only had his eyes open, but here the front part of him was covered by this, apparel. David, on the other hand, was what type of a soldier? Remember we said there were 3. Okay, he was a slinger. Yes, he was a slinger. Now, I just want to say a few things about slingers. If you wanted to be a slinger, or if you were a slinger, you had to be extraordinarily gifted. Now, those of us who've gone to head cattle, you sometimes have each animal and then you put it on a little sling, and then you aim in target, something like that. You'd have to be very gifted. Now, I'm not sure, but I have seen people who are able to put each, on